Hey guys, just wanted to say welcome back to another episode of Tainted Warriors. Thank you so much for all the love and support on the other previous videos, and
you guys are incredible.
Let's kick this thing on off and start this week's episode. It seems to be pretty interesting. I'm pretty excited for this.
It does seem like it might be long, so if it is, it's worth it, I think. So.
Right. I think, we'll try to, it's a little more interesting. I think we've got our points down a little better. And I do think that we took a take on this a little more different than anybody else has, at least that I've seen on the internet. I haven't seen too many people cover this topic.
Alright guys, so just a couple updates for you. If anyone was interested, I did process over 400 prescriptions on Tuesday at work, so I did meet that goal and killed it. And I made sure to brag just a little bit. Thank you.
Get it, girl.
We are still going to be doing a sound of the week for you, but we're going to be doing it a little bit differently. We're going to do it as a separate clip, so basically at the end we'll let you know what it is, and then we'll put out a separate video where if you want to listen to it and give it a shot, you absolutely can, and I'll make sure I link it in the description for you. That's just because, copyright's a thing, and we don't want to really mess with it too much, so we tried to play with it a little bit. We are doing a new segment this week.
Yes, we are. I'm pretty excited to announce that we are going to start having a question of the week. Feel free to comment below your answer if you want, to our question. And like I said, we'll try to answer back and write a little bit. So do you want to read the question of the week?
Our question this week is, if you were given the chance to be immortal, would you take it?
Ooh, that is really, really good. And so I did have a little thing about that. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just jump right in and give my answer, but
go for it.
I did want to say that with my answer, it would depend on one thing. Is it just me that gets eternal life? Or is, or is it you, or could maybe one other person get it? Or, because if it's just me that gets it, then no. Because I don't want to outlive everybody that I've loved and then keep reliving that cycle over and over and over. I get too attached to things, so I wouldn't want that. Or at least maybe if I had one other person to live eternity with, then I would totally want to take it. And I mean, I probably need a couple more than just one, but so I feel like that would be my answer on it.
For this question, I did kind of look at it as just it's just me. You don't get to pick anybody else to be immortal with you.
Right.
But I was still torn because, like you were saying, I get attached to people, so I don't want to live forever without my family. Once they're gone, I can't bring them back, so I'm done. No, just let me finish out my one life. But at the same time, if I were immortal, there is a lot you could do. You could put yourself in dangerous situations and take out all the really bad guys and not have to worry about dying. So right. My question is if someone were to burn me alive, do I remain a pile of ashes, or do I kind of regenerate into a new Nicole? Because if I regenerate, then I may want to go the superhero kind of route. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that is a good. See, I like that interpretation of it. Like I said, I was just torn, because once again, like we've said, I get too attached and I wouldn't want to live a lonely life. I mean, maybe if I did it, I didn't think about it as a superhero, or if I was maybe helping the world and feeling that, then maybe I would want to. But I just know that, it would feel lonely at least at some point, because
right.
You're going to end up having the people that you're attached to that something will inevitably happen to them.
Right.
You can only save them for so long, and then...
But if you're a superhero, you could impact so many lives. There would always be people supporting you, because as the generations go on, there's new people say Batman's immortal. Your freaking great grandkids will be Batman is still saving lives. We love him.
Well, that's another question. Are superheroes immortal? I know that they...
I think some are.
Some
can die, but I think some are immortal. I don't know.
Right? I guess this is a good question. Comment below if you know the answer to that. Are superheroes?
There are a lot of people out there right now. They're really? You all aren't Marvel fans? No, I'm sorry.
I wore a Flash shirt to my brother's wedding because he was doing some sort of superhero reveal. Have no idea what I was really doing. I just know that I had a lightning bolt on my shirt and I felt cute. Speaking of feeling cute, or, let's jump into today's topic. I know it's not really like kind of a weird segue, but you'll understand a little bit more why I said feeling cute. The reason why is because we're going to talk a little bit today about serial killers. I know that sounds really weird, but let me make the connection before we get anywhere. But we're not just covering serial killers, we're just covering a topic a little bit more on them, and we're going to go a little bit more deep dive into
we're going to it's basically called Hybristophelia, if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
I actually could give a quick definition if I find it in my notes. Of course I know.
You did right.
It's basically, the definition is a sexual interest in and attraction to those that commit crimes. Sexologists describe it as an attraction to a partner who has committed a crime or outrage such as rape, murder, or armed robbery. So, and honestly, like, you think about it and you're like, wait, why would you ever be attracted to someone like that? Well, honestly, it's so common. Like,
right.
How many times have you been with someone been like, oh, look at that guy, he's actually
very cute, and you end up clicking on a YouTube video and finding out that they ended up doing some very disturbing things, which is kind of a little bit more topic that this is why we picked this topic today. Because we're going to be talking more about Chris Watts and what he did. And we're jumping a little ahead. I can skip a little bit ahead and say that, yes, I was attracted until I found out, and I'll explain the whole story later. But, I can't deny there's still other people out there that find him cute.
There are. He still gets letters in prison, doesn't he? And
I'm pretty sure. I didn't look too much into what he does after prison. But I do know that for a moment there
are people, even if he doesn't, there are people that we will mention
and that we're about to cover.
Definitely get a lot of love and support when they're behind bars for something atrocious. So, for now, we're going to go into the details of the Chris Watts story a little bit, just because if you don't know, we want to make sure that you kind of have that basic background.
Yeah, get a little background information about him. And
before you get to Mikey's personal...
Before you make the same mistake that I did. Come on.
We want you to have all the details before you're like, oh, no, he's cute. No, first listen.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically, this was in Colorado in 2018. Chris worked for a petroleum company. He was married. He had 2 daughters, Bella and Cece, and a baby boy on the way, who they had decided to name Nico. I honestly love that name so much. I don't know why, but... it's like my name almost, so of course I love it. But anyway, in June of 2018, Chris started talking to a woman named Nicole that worked for the same company as him. And
that's even closer to your name.
It's literally my name without the E, so it's ridiculous. Like, stop copying me. But anyway, they became physical by July, and he was telling her that, he was going to go through a divorce. It was being finalized, everything your other woman wants to hear.
Right, just giving her all the little love bug things, like, oh, it's not going to work out. But yet you have a pregnant wife sitting at home who is, doesn't have any idea or clue that you're this unhappy and that you don't want to be there. So, we're telling little white lies all over the place, which I feel like happens a lot of times in affairs, and it's just messy, and it's never good. And then it normally ends up to things like this, instead of just getting a divorce, which I don't understand why it's so hard to...
Honesty is the best policy. Even if you're afraid of having a broken home, trust me, it's better to have a broken home than no home. Really
a no home, because you end up screwing everybody over.
So, on August 13th of 2018, Chris and his wife, they had an argument that morning, and this is the official story. He supposedly just went to work, and then one of his wife's friends realized that his wife was kind of just missing. She wasn't responding to her text messages. She had missed an appointment.
A doctor's appointment, which is very unusual. She knew she just dropped her off at home at 2 o'clock that morning, so she knew, she was telling her kind of, about the doctor's appointment, and So she was just trying to catch up with her. How did it go? And when you're not answering, yeah, that's going to freak anybody out,
right.
you know?
Especially when you're pregnant.
Right.
Like,
And very serious.
So her friend eventually called the police and asked them to do a welfare check. So the police came and they found that his wife's like keys and purse and her phone, all that were still at home. And
because you go very far, you know, when you don't have those things, you know what I mean? Like, you know, obviously if you were going to leave, you would take anything with you. So obviously, and she had diabetes, so they were nervous that, okay, did something happen? Is she laying upstairs, you know, and just not answering? So they were trying to contact Chris to give them permission to go into the house to find her safety. And he was not giving them permission to go inside. He said no. He took about 45 minutes to get home. And then, even then, after he gets home, proceeds to run into the house and does not allow the officer inside. First thing he does is goes to a car. Why aren't you going inside and into your house? You know what I mean? Why are you going to the car? Right. It was just crazy. I didn't mean to jump topic, or I just wanted to get a little more insight of how he was acting and things that he did once the police were there. I don't believe that if you were concerned, you know, about the safety of where she was at, I would definitely be more like, oh yes, go in, break in, do something. I wouldn't be making you wait for me to come home before I let you into my house if you feel like my loved one is laying dead upstairs.
You can break whatever windows and doors you need to. Just find my wife, honestly.
Right.
My pregnant wife. Like, it's not just your wife, it's also your child.
Oh, yeah, and your children are
son.
Well, yeah, right, and your children are,
like,
you know, your daughters are in there too, and they're not. But I do think that maybe at this time he was trying to say that he knew that she was going, like, to the mom's house or something. But it still wasn't seeming right because you could see the car there. You know, the shoes were all still there. So once you heard that, that should have been a worry to him.
Keys? How does she leave without her keys?
Right.
Unless she walked, but if she walked, like, come on.
Right. You would have at least brought your phone.
Right.
Something.
You have 2 children with you and you're pregnant, and I believe, wasn't she relatively pregnant? Like,
yeah, it was kind of, I'm pretty sure, like, I'm not too sure, so I don't want to guess. But yes, she was.
I'm pretty sure it was past the first
they knew, right, because they knew it was a boy. So,
right.
And they already had the name for him, so.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, sorry, I didn't.
No, you're good. Honestly, I didn't have a lot on that, so I'm glad that you kind of added that in. I moved to the next day. So the next day, on August 14th, 2018, Chris was just kind of still playing the grieving family man. He actually went on the local news and was, like, pleading for his family's return and, like...
Which people tore apart. I didn't know that, but people were like, why he wasn't acting right. And now when I first watched it, I guess because I was still a little naive, I did see somebody that was grieving, but then once I heard everything that happened and I watched it again, it does not seem very believable. I don't know, he just seems very monotone, very, like, I don't know, if all these things are right on YouTube, I do know that, so I do want to say that anything that we are finding, well, she did look up her things, I'm just saying stuff that I did find out are a lot of YouTube videos, so they are out there that will describe more in detail, like, what he actually was doing on these days, but I do remember them stating
I think it was a Netflix documentary I watched about him where the neighbor actually had, like, a video camera, too, and they were showing, like, his truck leaving or something, but the neighbor was super suspicious from the beginning, like, listen, he's not acting right in my house right now, like...
Right, and a lot of people, I guess, you know, not to go off on a little tangent, but I guess if you're gonna murder somebody, the first thing you do realize that people are gonna realize that you're acting different. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many, you spend your time around so many people that if once you start to change it up, they're gonna call you out on it, no matter what. I don't know,
I agree.
Kind of crazy.
And then, so, August 15th, Chris took a polygraph test, which, of course, he failed, because he killed his wife and his kids. But at that time, he only admitted to killing his wife. He tried to say that she killed the kids and he killed her, basically, for smothering their daughters. So... almost like a self-defense thing, or like a parental distraught kind of.
Yep, which I could, if that was the case, I guess I could understand. If you walked in and saw somebody strangling your children,
I'd 100% kill them.
Right, I guess I could understand that feeling too. I haven't been in it, so I don't know what I would actually do. But I would like to think that, yes, I'm going to hurt them.
Yeah, if someone's hurting your child, at minimum, you're going to, like, disable them. You're going to disable the assailant.
Right.
Because you don't want your kid to die.
And then being caught up in all that passion, you know what I mean? You might slip away, and I can understand it happening. I do. I 100% could see that. But that wasn't the case here. I don't want to plead a case for him. That was not what was going down.
Right. Which, on August 16th was when they found the children's bodies, which had been in an oil tank, go figure. On November 6th, Chris actually pled guilty to all the counts against him. His wife's family, I don't know why, but they actually objected to the death penalty. I mean, honestly, though, I think I would do the same. I'd rather you sit and suffer and think about what you did than to just get away with it by dying.
Yeah, we are best friends, because I feel the same exact way. I'm like, I don't want to give you an easy life.
Right, like, you basically tortured everybody I love.
Yep. I want you to sit in a room, and I want their pictures to be playing 24 hours a day. I want the saddest song to be playing for 24 hours a day, and I want you to realize that what you did was wrong. And it's never going to make it okay. Even though I got that justification, it's only going to bring that person back.
Right. It's crazy. He got sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole on November 19th. And then, 3 or 4 months later, on February 18th of 2019, was when he decided to make his detailed confession. So, from what I found, he first went into his daughter Bella's room and basically used a pillow to try to kill her, and then went over to his daughter Cece's room and did the same thing to her. Mm-hmm. He then went to his room and argued with his wife, because I believe she had suspected him of having an affair, and he had said something like, this marriage isn't going to last, and the wife was like, you're not going to see your kids anymore, and he ended up strangling her. And, he even detailed horrible shit, like her bloody eyes and, mascara running down.
Even talks about after, or, while he's strangling her, one of the daughters that he thought he had deceased, walks in, and he now realizes that it wasn't done. So he now has to do the job. Bruised, and her only question is, what's wrong with mommy? And it doesn't have any remorse.
It's just so inhumane.
Very.
So yeah, basically he killed their mother, and then he ends up driving with the girls and the dead body to a remote oil field where he worked, and dumped his wife in a shallow grave.
Very shallow grave. Barely even tried to...
I don't know if this is true or not. I honestly, maybe I just hope not, but from what I saw or read, it said that he supposedly pushed her face first, and it somehow had such force that she partially gave birth to a dead fetus.
Oh.
I don't know if that's true, but it was supposed, something I found. So don't quote me on that.
Right.
But that's disgusting.
Yeah, that's so sad. It's so sad.
That's your wife and your son, literally.
And
he just felt so angry at her. That's why he didn't even turn the body over so that she was facing upwards.
Right,
he just left her face down.
Way,
it's ridiculous. And then he ended up going back to the truck that he drove there in. He used a blanket to, again, smother Cece. And I didn't catch if she was alive when he dumped her in the oil tank.
I don't know if they're even sure if they were alive or not at this point of them dumping them in. Oh. I would like to think that they weren't.
Right.
But they could be, because they were also talking about how, it was hard for him to get them inside of it. And, it was just so horrible.
Yeah, he used the blanket Cece was holding to smother her, and then dumped her in the oil tank, and then he went back, and I guess Bella was the only one that actually, tried to fight him. She was like, Daddy, no, what are you doing? And he did the same thing to her, tried to smother her, and then dumped her in the oil tank. And, yeah, so that's the Chris Watts story.
Oh, and I did hear something, too, that he was, describing, when he described the emotion that he felt during that, and he said he felt absolutely nothing when he heard them hit oil, and I just remember feeling so repulsed, and it kind of which is what led me into what that was during my during when I was first looking into him, because when I first heard of this story, I only saw on YouTube his, like, the police confession tape, which was him sitting down. It's still on YouTube, and I still watch the person that uploaded it to this day. Maybe if I can tell you, I don't know if we can put descriptions or a link for him down. But he has all these tapes. He even has the polygraph tape, like, during all of that. And it's Chris just describing what happened, and he talks about the walking up and seeing his wife hurting the children, and he just, that's what happened. That's all I really heard. So once I hear that, and he kind of crying to his dad saying that's what happened, I felt bad for him. And I was kind of like, oh my God, here's this really hot man. I mean, I know it sucks, but, like, he just was so out of control because of this emotion that he felt. Like, you know, I really felt bad. And then I went and watched the next, like, video that I could find on him. And I start hearing the actual truth, like what really happened. I hear him talking about how he felt. I start hearing about the Nicole, the affair that was going on.
Oh, right. Like, that's honestly the whole... We didn't even mention that. Obviously, like, that's the whole reason that he killed his wife and kids.
All over an affair.
Because basically, he fell in love with this girl, Nicole, in the summer of 2018. And instead of getting a divorce and letting the wife take the kids,
he decides to take them all.
Right. He kills them all and thinks he can move on with this girl, Nicole.
Right. And that's just horrible. Like, so he, all the cheating was there and the stuff. He also brought up a really crazy thing about the Thrive patch. And they were trying, I don't know if he's trying to say it made him do it as much as he's just trying to say that while he was using them, it was changing him. I don't know if he said his heartbeat, with what I was reading, it was like his heart rate was racing. He said he felt like he could kind of go longer. He was only starting to get like 3 hours of sleep at night. So I'm starting to think, reading more into it too, like, okay, did that, the not sleeping, the feeling of the divorce being, or, the failure of having a broken home. Relationship. Yes, and, wanting to just move on over and starting it fresh, maybe did that change him, but I could possibly see maybe that changing, not sleeping could change the way that you think. I know there's clinical studies on it. They have that all over. But I don't believe that it would take you to that extent. To the extent of you doing that. The passion didn't make you cheat.
Right.
It didn't make you...
Well, he had pre-planned it, too, because the night before, he tucked in his daughters, knowing that was the last time he was going to tuck them in.
Yes, right. Like, so it's like it wasn't a spur of the moment. So, it's like all the things that when I first found out about him were starting, it changed. I was like, wait, this isn't the same story. And it's like, it scared me for a minute of being like, whoa, I was kind of attracted to...
When he told me, I was like, somebody. I'm going to read a newspaper article that my best friend went home with a serial killer one night, and I'm never going to see Mikey again. So.
See, at least, I try to be a little bit smarter. I do. I try to... Thank God that, I ended up finding out the real truth. I didn't just stick with the one story, and that's why we're here a little bit more to just describe a little bit more, and I want to know, from you guys, too, like, what... we all kind of know what would make it done for you, but what crosses lines? Like, what is your final straw of it? Like, would it change? Would it have changed maybe if he did kill her out of the kids being hurt by her? Like, I don't know how I would have felt. Would it have changed me? Maybe I would be one of these people that would write to him and feel like, not that I don't know if he's that way or anything. I'm just saying, like,
it doesn't matter. You can still write to him. You would have so basically there's no scientific research on this. The information I have found is basically like psychologists and like sexologists, like people of that nature. They've basically broke it down into two types. There's the passive hyperstophelia, which those people are the ones that basically like write letters, send money. They're kind of like low level, and they end up just believing that the killer wouldn't harm them or that they could rehabilitate them, or they just straight up make excuses for the killer's behavior. So that's kind of like where you would fall into, I would say, because you're like, well, if he killed her because she killed the kids, then that's fine. Like, I'm good with that. That might actually add a little bit to the pot because he's protective. Right. Which, honestly, I could say, like, the same. If you're protective, like, that's awesome. Because...
Right, because I mean...
everybody needs a little bit of protecting in this world.
Right, so. And I do get it, I mean, as horrible as that sounds, because I'm not condoning anything like that. I'm just saying, like, how, it's crazy to think of how far your sexual attraction will bring you to either be with somebody or...
Well, then you have the aggressive Hybristophelia, and those are the ones that are actually aroused by the crimes themselves and want to help people, like, commit the crime. So they want to help a murderer, bitch. Like, these are, like, I feel like these are, like, maybe I'm wrong, but the women that, like, help their husbands kidnap girls and keep them in dungeons and then, like, rape them and murder them and shit. I feel like the women would kind of fall into that category.
Like Hannibal Lecter type or Wild Bill. The one that, like, you know what I mean?
I don't know him.
Oh, the one that it puts the lotion on the skin or else it gets the hose again?
I'm sorry, I don't know him. I suck. So many people out there that are watching this are just going to be like, are you kidding me? We're turned off.
But I mean, but what about Hannibal Lecter? I mean, he took it even a step further and was
Wasn't he the actual killer, though?
Was he?
I thought Hannibal Lecter was the actual serial killer and he, like, ate his victim.
Well, that's what I mean. So now...
Well,
I don't know.
He can't be a Hybristophiliac unless he's attracted to himself, maybe because he killed them. Then maybe it's a weird combination of I'm a serial killer and a Hybristophiliac.
I mean...
But I feel like that's a whole other conversation if you got all that going on.
Well, another really good thing in that, now this was my thing, was why I was asking, was because now the Charles Manson girls, like Charles Manson ended up being able to convince a lot of these people, or a lot of people, to do a lot of his killings for him. And I think, like, I did read, like, he only ended up actually killing, like, maybe 2 people, or if he even actually killed them.
That's true.
But I did want to jump into... So what would we consider Susan Atkins, Patricia Cornwell, Squeaky Fromme, sorry if I mess up these names too, and Leslie Van Houten, which are the Manson girls. Now they, once again, that's where I was trying to get with the Wild Bill or the Hannibal Lecter thing, was that they were so obsessed that they would do these things for him. Now, does that make you a killer, or I mean, does that put you into the aggressive Hybristophelia category?
I mean,
because you said you'd want to help aid,
right? I feel like then you would be aggressive. Once you have the intention of I'm going to help you do this, then it becomes aggressive,
right? And I'm not sure if all 4 of those women did kill. I know that they were the 4 Manson girls, and I just once we talked of this topic, I was like, whoa, this could go anywhere. Like, how far is that line of just, writing a letter? Yes, I didn't know if they were broken up into 2 categories already. So I was like, whoa, writing a letter to somebody and doing what they want you to do in a bad way of like that is 2 different things, So I was like, how far can this really go,
I honestly, this isn't a sexual thing, but it's honestly a little weird to me that the difference in them, because I have a stepbrother who's in prison and he was part of an armed robbery. I don't know if he had the gun that was on scene, but it was bad. Like, I don't condone what he did, and it kind of messes with me sometimes because I don't talk to him because I'm like, why? Like, why would you do that when it involved a father and a daughter, and like, you have your own daughter, so why would you do that? Like, what the fuck would you do if someone came into your house and did the shit that you just did? Like, I would be pissed. I would kill you if you broke into my house and did that, even if you were my stepbrother.
Same.
But at the same time, it's like, I know the person he was, like, and the person he could be. You know what I mean? Like, he helped me fix my cars. He cared about me. Like, he was someone that I genuinely felt cared when I was growing up, even though, like, I didn't have a lot of people. Like, and, like, he can make me laugh. He was stupid. Like,
so
but he was also smart. So, like, I want to write him letters, but at the same time, I'm like, you are fucked. Like,
like
Marshall's had to get
I don't know if I could condone. You're right. Like, condone that.
You did something bad and didn't even own up to it. You ran. Like,
and I guess I have a little bit more. Like, at least if you went and turned yourself in, maybe I could have you a little bit more support and be like, okay, well, at least maybe at the last judgment, you're going through something wrong, because we have talked about on here, people going through problems and especially thrive, how we talked about could change, so I guess if you turned yourself in because you realized that you were wrong, then maybe I could support you a little bit more. I mean, it depends on what you did too, though. I mean, once again, you're pulling a Chris Watts. You done signed your deal, right?
It's crazy because, like, there's actual serial killers. Obviously, Chris Watts, I wouldn't really consider him a serial killer.
Right, no, I just
he killed his family, and then he's done. That's it. But there's other serial killers, like Jeffrey Dahmer, who lured gay men back to his house, sedated them with drugs mixed with alcohol, and then strangled them and had sex or masturbated on their corpse. Like,
as bad as this sounds, I've always thought, I didn't know when he was from, but I was like, I've heard that he was an attractive man. So it really scared me for back in there. Like, if I grew up around that time, like, I could have, not trying to toot my own horn, but you know what I mean?
Mikey would have went home.
I could have at one time, right? Especially, like, is it, once again, look, how far does your sexual attraction to somebody take you,
Like, it's crazy, because I feel like everybody knows Ted Bundy, the serial killer Ted Bundy, who killed, raped, and murdered at least 30 women by his own admission. Now, when he got arrested, he had a long-term girlfriend that, like, she actually helped turn him in and, like, was suspicious of him for a hot minute before the police actually believed her, like, looked into him.
Good thinking, girl.
And she ended up obviously leaving him. She didn't want anything to do with it. But while he was in prison, someone named Carol Ann Boone, she actually took up a liking to Ted Bundy to the point where when he was on trial for murder in Florida, he was, like, in the middle of the courtroom. I almost think he was defending himself as his own lawyer. She was on the stand, and he literally proposed to her, like, in the middle of the courtroom. He's like, will you marry me? She's like, yes. And he's like, and I intend to marry you. Like, that's it. Like, so in the middle of your trial, you get engaged to this freaking girl, like, for a trial for murdering, I think,
how did they even
old.
allow that? Like, I bet you that caused such a commotion when that came out. The judge was probably like, back on topic right, here. Hello?
Like, did we really just have a marriage proposal?
Sorry,
like,
didn't mean to...
No, you're good. And then, honestly, like, that's just crazy.
Right.
Then, like, what happens, like, if they were to get married the next day or something? I don't even know how that would work.
Is the judge
so privileged?
Could the judge be the witness? Is the judge the one that's also been like, do you?
Are they married now? Like... If the judge was there. Like,
right? Does that make it official?
Oh, God. I set up messages on my laptop somehow, so my texts come into my laptop, and that was a fun one. We'll leave it be. I don't want to talk politics on this channel, at least not yet. Maybe
we're not ready for that vote yet.
Maybe eventually in the future, but it's only if it's a topic we feel strongly about.
Right.
But anyway, Ted Bundy,
Back to Ted Bundy, something we actually care about.
So he gets engaged in the courtroom. There was Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, who broke into homes, raped, and murdered 13 women between 1984 and 1985. And there was a woman who wrote him while he was in prison. They ended up getting married in 1996. Like,
crazy.
There was school shooters. The Columbine school shooting.
Right.
Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold.
Oh, yeah, they have, like, a whole TikTok following.
They killed themselves in the school because they were guilty of this atrocity, and they have a following post-mortem of, like, people that are, like,
still
in love with them.
today, that are like, oh, my God. And, no.
Like, school shooters, like, serial rapists and murderers. Like, where do you draw the line?
Right. That's the other question. That's where, I keep asking.
How do you overlook the bad to see the good?
I don't know. And I guess maybe if there is somebody out there that's like that, maybe if they're willing to do, like, if they want to somehow get a hold of us, I'm going to plug my Instagram handle here a little later and, have a conversation, and maybe I'm willing to do that, I'm not afraid. I want to figure it out, kind of like what makes it like that. Maybe they're afraid to come out, but I mean, if you want to keep it anonymous and let me know, just have a real talk. Like I said, I'm still here too. I'm not going to judge you. I just want to know. People think that the way that I you know, what I think is sexual, because I'm a gay man, is wrong. You know, so people do feel that, and I just want to hear a little bit more, so.
I did find that the psychologist or whoever looks into this, they kind of think there's 5 different causes of it, of like women that, you know, basically are like so attracted to these atrocious men. But the first cause is low self-esteem, which honestly, I believe it. I've believed in my entire life. Low self-esteem can make you accept things that you definitely know are wrong, but at the same time, you're like, oh, he's paying attention to me when, like,
he's in jail, so I know he can't go cheat.
That's actually another one of the reasons is they kind of view him as the perfect boyfriend, because they always know where he is. They always know that, like, he's thinking of them, and they can't have those little relationship fights that break people up. Like, you didn't do the dishes 7 nights in a row when I asked you to, or I do the laundry every Monday. When do you do it? Or, you know, stupid shit.
Right.
Or, like, who's going to pay what bill this week? Like, and then one of the other reasons is they think they can change the killer, which I'm not going to lie. I'm a person that likes to think that there's good in everybody, so I do feel like under the right certain circumstances, you can bring the good out in anybody. But I think the people have to be willing to step into those circumstances also. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be willing to be good, and sometimes the desire to be bad is just too
better, I guess.
It's too empowering for them, and they can't let it go, because without that, they don't know what they are. Like, basically, I feel.
Oh, I get it.
And 2 more reasons is they may just see the child inside the killer in which to nurture. Like I mentioned, Jeffrey Dahmer. I believe it was him. He had a mom who didn't even name him as a baby, and I think she tried to sell him for like a pitcher of beer or something like that. There was a whole documentary on that. I think that was on Netflix too.
I'm gonna go home and watch that too.
It had Ross something he was on the Disney Channel, and then he was on the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. He was in a band with his brothers. I can't remember his last name. Yeah, but he was in it, and it was like he played Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, it was just crazy. Like, could you imagine a mom not naming her baby, and then that baby's supposed to, like, grow up normal? Like, what did you even call him? Nothing? You just ignored his existence? Like,
right. That's so sad.
That's hard. So, like, some people think that if they nurture, like, you know, the little kid side of them, basically, that
they can bring out the good.
Right.
I mean, I'm not trying to say that I can understand and justify, but I guess I do see a little bit, yeah.
I feel like, honestly, if I were ever to, like, be, like, attracted to a serial killer or something, that's wise. Because, like, I would see the hardships they went through, and I would feel bad for them, and be like, okay, well, I'm going to show you how good shit can be. But I don't think I could ever be with a serial killer.
Right.
And the last reason is just that the person that falls in love might just be using them to share the spotlight, which me and Mikey talked about earlier. Like, there's people who get book deals. Obviously, I watched a documentary on Ted Bundy this morning with his, basically all his ex-girlfriends. Like,
right. So there's
all the people. So, like, there's money that they can be made by being associated with these people.
Right, and to get your name out there real quick.
I mean, honestly, if your name's going to be dragged through the mud, you might as well
make money off of it.
Right, and if you're associated with them, it's going to happen anyway. Yeah. Although, I don't know, people like Carol Ann Boone, I don't feel like that's, like, her. You know what I mean?
Right, like, that was all love.
But I did, to let you guys know, I did hear that she actually, like, she really believed that Ted Bundy was innocent, supposedly, until, like, he was basically about to be executed, and he was talking to her, and he was like, if I tell them where some bodies are buried, then it might buy me some time. And that was, like, when she realized that, like, he actually committed all these murders, and, like, apparently she was super angry and shit, but it's like, you got engaged in the middle of his murder trial, and it wasn't even the first murder trial, and I'm pretty sure, like, he was already guilty before that in another state or something. I could be wrong there. But, like, he's guilty in all these states, and you're just like, no, he's innocent. Like, come on, at some point you gotta look at evidence.
You have to know, right? Like, if the whole world is out there saying that it happened, you can't be that naive and be like, oh, no.
Right.
No, it's okay.
So, and this is a little kind of a random fact, but I actually, when I was doing research for this, there's a website called Hybristophelia.net. It was created by a serial killer named Jeremy Brooks, and it's literally designed on the website, it says, quote, designed to help you find your own personal serial killer / Hybristophelia fantasy. Like, he literally created a website so that you could get in touch with him. And
that's scary.
It's nuts. Like, isn't that basically setting up your own murder?
Right.
Like, I mean, he's in jail right now. I
was just going to say, now, is that just for him, though, or is that for other people, too? Like,
I don't know. I couldn't really
because then it's scary, like, alright, that's a way for you to write other people, and then, like, that could just get so messy and scary.
I don't know what he did. I think him and his girlfriend killed some people. I don't know what he did, actually, but basically, like, if you think about that, even if it's only for you to get in touch with him, he's gonna know other people.
Right.
Like, he's been to multiple prisons, I believe, at this point, so he's gonna hear other killers. Like, he's gonna be able to get you in touch with other ones, like...
Right.
Or anyone, really. Probably. He's your connection to anyone in jail. Like...
I mean...
But that's just setting yourself up for danger. Like, honestly, like... That's insane. So, like, I don't know.
Right. I mean, it's just scary, because once again, it all just circles back to, like, what crosses the line? What makes it enough? Like, what,
I think if you're harming someone else and it's not defenses, like, that's when I'm done.
Right.
I just doing it for pleasure.
Even for, like, the person that's doing it, that's, like, writing the letters, like, okay, what if you just wrote a letter to them? Like, first off, why? Like, what gratification do you get out of that? Like, maybe with just the hopes of them writing back, and, like, but then it's like, and then how far are you willing to take that if they do write back? Are you going to be a Carol Ann Boone and be like, hey, I don't know, it scares me to think about.
Oh my God, I went to trial a single woman and I left engaged. Like, are you kidding me?
To the man that the whole world thinks killed people, but he's fine. He didn't do it.
He is so innocent, even though his ex-girlfriend literally, like...
That's some innocent until proven guilty, I guess, right there. She took that to the fullest. She was like...
She wasn't even
no,
sure.
he's innocent, and until you make me... Till he says it, and the day he said it, she was like, oh...
That's nuts. Like, I just can't even with fucking Carol Ann Boone. Like, really? Like, you just saw what you wanted to see, which I guess is a problem, is so many people just see what they want to see instead of what's actually there.
Yeah.
Like...
it's crazy. And if anybody, anybody has more they wanted to add on to that, once again, just comment right below on our YouTube page or wherever you're watching it. We're going to try to respond more.
Alright, guys, so this podcast actually wasn't as long as, like, I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot longer, too.
Oh, that's weird. I guess next time I'll do some more research.
I know.
We could have gone into details on all the serial killers, but honestly, like, each one can be their own episode.
Right, so. And I do feel like, it's because we were discussing more of the other, if we were going into full detail of serial killers, I do believe this podcast would be days long.
Right. It's a great episode, though, I think. Let us know what you think.
Yes, please.
We do have a song of the week for you. It's called You're Somebody Else by Flora Cash. We're not going to play the clip for you, obviously, at the end of this, but I am going to make a different video that will have that song playing. Please, everybody, just give it a listen one time. That's what the whole point of the song of the week is, just so everybody can experience new music, get new genres, and really just touch into other sides. I
can't lie, I haven't heard it, and I did hear it for the first time, and I'm going to listen to it a lot more, and just wanted to say thank you guys so much once again for watching our podcast, listening to our podcast, whatever it is, and
I can't believe some of you play us all on your TVs. I'm just saying, to me, that's incredible. I never thought I would be on the TV screen. Like, that's epic.
Thank you so much, and please subscribe, and until next week,
stay tuned.